Welcome to my channel. June 18th, 1815. The field at Waterloo, 100,000 men killing each other in the mud. And in London, at that very moment, one man stands by a pillar at the stock exchange. Calm, hands in his pockets, face like stone. Around him, chaos. Brokers screaming. Everyone wants to know who won, Napoleon or Wellington. If Napoleon, British bonds become toilet paper. If Wellington, they skyrocket. Nobody knows. Except this man. His name is Nathan Rothschild, and in the next few hours, he will pull off a scheme that will become legend. A scheme that, by some estimates, will earn him more in a single day than the entire annual budget of the British Empire. But that's just the beginning of the story, because today we're going to talk not just about how one family got rich off war. We're going to talk about a system, a scheme that's 200 years old, about why wars never end, and about who continues this business right now, in January 2026. Buckle up, this is going to be intense. To understand how the war machine works, we need to go back to 1744, Frankfurt, Germany, the Jewish ghetto. Picture this, narrow streets, the smell of sewage, walls beyond which Jews weren't allowed after sunset. Here, Mayor Amschel Rothschild is born, son of a small-time money changer. The surname, from the red sign above the door. Rothschild, Red Shield. His parents died when he was 12. The boy was left alone, and instead of breaking, he started thinking. He noticed something. Wealthy aristocrats loved rare coins, collected them, paid insane money for them, and he understood coins better than they did. By 25, Meyer was selling coins to princes. By 40, he became the personal banker to Wilhelm IX, one of the richest men in Europe, a man who had made his fortune in a very interesting business. Know what it was? He sold soldiers, literally, rented out his army to other countries for wars. Britain, for example, paid him enormous sums for Hessian mercenaries to fight the American colonies. Remember this, war as business. It's going to be important. Mayer had 5 sons, and here's where the genius move begins. He didn't give the business to the eldest, didn't split it equally. He did something smarter. He sent each son to a key capital of Europe. Amschel stayed in Frankfurt, Salomon to Vienna, Nathan to London, Karl to Naples, James to Paris. 5 brothers, 5 countries, 1 family. They communicated daily, in a secret code, a mix of Yiddish and Hebrew that no one else could read. Information traveled faster than any government could manage. And when the Napoleonic Wars began in 1803, the Rothschild family found themselves in a unique position. They had people in every capital, in every warring country, on both sides of the conflict. And war is a very expensive proposition. Let's break down how war works from a financial perspective. A country wants to wage war. It needs soldiers, cannons, ships, gunpowder, uniforms, food, horses. All of this costs money, a lot of money, more than what's in the treasury. What to do? Right? Borrow. From whom? From bankers. Now imagine, you're a banker. Britain comes to you asking for money to fight France. Then France comes asking for money to fight Britain. What do? If you're a patriot, you only lend to your country. And if it loses, you're bankrupt. If you're a businessman, you lend to both. And whoever wins, they'll pay you back with interest. Because the winner will make the loser pay reparations. And reparations? That's your money. The Rothschilds were businessmen. Nathan in London financed the British Army. This is documented. He organized gold shipments to the Duke of Wellington across all of Europe through territory controlled by Napoleon. How is that possible? How do you move gold through enemy lines? Only if you have connections on both sides of the front. James in Paris worked with French authorities, had access to the highest circles, did business with Napoleon's empire. See the pattern? Let's go back to that day. June 18th, 1815, Napoleon versus Wellington. The final battle, the fate of Europe, the London Stock Exchange, in agony. Everyone understands. Everything depends on the outcome of this battle. British bonds will either become gold or waste paper, and no one knows who won. Couriers need days to deliver the news. No one, except Nathan Rothschild. He had the best intelligence network in the world. Better than the British government's. Pigeons, couriers, boats, agents at every crossroads. Within hours of the battle, Nathan knew Napoleon was defeated. What would an ordinary person do? Rush to buy bonds. Nathan did the opposite. He came to the exchange, stood at his famous pillar, and started selling. Calmly, methodically, confidently. Everyone watched him. Rothschild knows everything. If Rothschild is selling, it means Britain lost. Panic. Bonds crashed. People dumped them for pennies. And Nathan's agents, quietly, invisibly, through proxies, bought everything. A few hours later, official news arrived. Wellington had won. Bonds soared. Nathan Rothschild, by various estimates, made between 20 and 135 million pounds in a single day. In today's money, billions. One day, one scheme. Thousands of ruined families. But that's not all. After the Napoleonic Wars, Europe lay in ruins. Countries needed money for reconstruction. Who provided it? The Rothschilds. They financed France, Austria, Prussia, Russia, all the warring parties, now all debtors. By 1825, the Rothschilds controlled the bonds of most European states. Their fortune was estimated at £6 million, more than any other bank in the world. They didn't just get rich from war. They created a system in which war is a business model. Think about it. War requires money. States take loans. Loans are given to both sides. The banker never loses. The winner pays from reparations. The banker gets paid back with interest. The loser takes new loans for reconstruction. The banker lends again. Everyone stays in debt. The banker controls everyone. War is not a failure of the system. War is the business plan. Okay, you might say. That was 200 years ago. Things are different now. Really? Let's look at the numbers from January 2026. RTX, formerly Raytheon, the world's largest aerospace and defense company. Annual revenue for 2024, $80.7 billion, up 17% from the previous year. They make Patriot missiles, NASAMS air defense systems, Tomahawk cruise missiles. Who owns RTX? Vanguard Group, 9.16% of shares worth $21.1 billion. Behind them, BlackRock and State Street. Lockheed Martin, third quarter 2025, sales of $18.6 billion, largest shareholder. State Street Corp with a 14.78% stake, worth $16.5 billion. See the pattern? Three companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, together are the largest shareholder in more than 40% of all publicly traded U.S. firms and in 88% of S&P 500 companies. They own shares in every defense company, every bank, every oil giant, everything. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a structure. Let's count what happened in recent years. Total budget authority allocated by the U.S. Congress for aid to Ukraine, $175 billion. Of that, military assistance since the beginning of the Biden administration, $66.5 billion. Where did this money go? To American defense companies. RTX raised its full year 2025 guidance multiple times, citing 12% sales growth and strong performance in missiles and integrated defense systems segments. Replenishment needs in Europe and the U.S. drove organic growth. In 2025, aerospace and defense indices rose by around 45% worldwide and 70% in Europe, far outpacing broader markets. Since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, defense stocks have risen by 48%. Assets invested in sector ETFs are up 268% and now total more than $11 billion. The fiscal 2026 National Defense Authorization Act calls for $924.7 billion in U.S. defense spending. War is not a failure of diplomacy. War is business. Know who owns shares in military companies? Pension funds. Your pension fund. It's genius when you think about it. You work your whole life. You contribute to a pension fund. The fund invests your money, including in Lockheed Martin, RTX, Northrop Grumman. For your pension to grow, these companies need contracts. For there to be contracts, there need to be wars. You're invested in war, literally. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street collectively manage over $20 trillion in assets and own significant stakes in almost every publicly traded company in the world. In S&P 500 companies, their combined ownership commonly ranges between 15% and 20%. War isn't something far away. It's your money. Now the main question, Why does war never end? Because too many people profit from it. The Rothschilds understood a simple thing in 1815. It doesn't matter who wins. What matters is that there is war. The modern system works the same way. Since the onset of the war in Ukraine in 2022, European defense stocks have been surging, significantly outperforming their US peers. This outperformance is even more evident in 2025 as investors anticipate a wave of European military spending. In 2024, military spending in Europe saw an increase of 17%. Defense spending across Europe is forecast to expand at an average annual rate of about 6.8% between 2024 and 2035. The European Union is making an unprecedented commitment to defense spending with up to 800 billion set to be invested over the next 4 years. Everyone fights, everyone buys weapons, everyone is in debt. Who wins? Those who sell. Here's where it gets difficult, because the system is everywhere. Your taxes go to the military budget. Your gasoline, from countries over which wars are fought for control. Your pension, invested in military companies. Your phone, made from rare metals that people are dying for in Congo. You're part of the machine, whether you want to be or not. What can you do? First, understand. Knowing how the system works is half the battle. Don't believe when they tell you that war is about freedom, democracy, protection. Follow the money. Always follow the money. Second, vote with your wallet. Check where your pension fund invests. There are funds that exclude defense companies. Their returns are just as good. Third, vote politically. Support candidates who don't take money from the military lobby. They exist. There aren't many, but they exist. Fourth, talk about it. Share information. Because the system depends on most people not understanding how it works. Let's go back to Nathan Rothschild, to his pillar at the London Stock Exchange, to June 18, 1815. He stood and watched as people panic sold everything. He knew the truth. They didn't. And he used that knowledge to take their money. 200 years have passed. The names have changed. The Rothschilds are no longer the richest. Their place has been taken by others. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, defense corporations, sovereign wealth funds. The technology has changed. Instead of pigeons, algorithms. Instead of gold coins, numbers on screens. The geography has changed. Instead of Waterloo, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Ukraine. But the scheme is the same. War, debt, interest, control. And until we understand this scheme, it will keep working. Every time you see a headline about a new conflict, ask one question. Who profits from this? The answer is the reason why war never ends.